Good morning everyone. So today we will be reading about sedimentation with coagulation. So in the previous slide we have been discussed about what are the types of sedimentation tank, what are the design details of the tank. Okay, so we'll give a quick review on this. So we have already discussed in the type of sedimentation tank there are two bases. First is based on the method of operation and based on the shape. Based on the method of operation, how the sedimentation tank operate. So there are two types. First is intermittent type, second one is continuous type, that we have already been discussed. And next one is that is based on the shape. There are three types of shape in the sedimentation tank. So we can say a rectangular tank, circular tank and hopper bottom tank. So you can see here the rectangular tank. I have already discussed about this. This is the simplest design and it is easy to operate, and this in the rectangular tank, this is used in the municipal and industrial applications, and this rectangular tank have advantages such as cost effectiveness and low maintenance cost. And if we see the disadvantages of rectangular tank, it is a large extent of the land area required. So next we have been discussed about the circular sedimentation tank. Here you can see the diagram of circular sedimentation tank. It is easy to remove the sludge, high clarification deficiency, smaller to medium sized application for the plants with constant flow rates and the quality, and uneconomical as compared to rectangular tanks. So next we have discussed about hopper bottom tank. So you can see here the diagram of hopper bottom tank. It is a vertical label, and here it is a deflector box which is located at the top of the tank and which deflects the infrared that is coming from the central pipe downwards. And here you can see the sludge. That is collected from the bottom, and in the sludge pipe it is removed and it has been disposed to the sludge pump. Okay, so this is all about the types of tank. So next we have discussed about the design details of the tank. In the design details of the tank, we have discussed about the detention period in the sedimentation, that is up to 3 to 4 hours, and the velocity which will be not greater than 30 centimeter, and the tank dimension, that is length is to breadth, that is equals to 3:1 to 5:1, and we will take as length that is 30 meter and breadth as 6 meter to 10 meter. And depth of the tank we will be taking as 3.0 to 6.0 meter. And if we take the circular sedimentation tank, the diameter should be 20 to 40 meter, but it should not be greater than the 60 meter. And in the slope, the rectangular 1% towards the inlet and circular 8%. So next we will be discussing about sedimentation with coagulation. So what is the necessity of sedimentation with coagulation? Okay, so very fine suspended clay particles are not removed by plain sedimentation. Okay, so in the plain sedimentation we have been removing the large amount of impurities, and where the particle size of specific gravity would be greater than that of the specific gravity of the water. Okay, so here in the sedimentation with coagulation, very fine suspended clay particles are not removed by plain sedimentation, and silt particle of 0.06 mm size requires 10 hours to settle in 3 meter deep plain sedimentation tank, and 0.02 mm particle will require about 4 days for settling. Okay, so we can say that in the silt particle of 0.06 mm size, it requires 10 hours to settle in the sedimentation tank, but in 0.02 mm particle will require about 4 days for settling in the bottom of the tank. Okay, so in addition to fine suspended matter, water also contains electrically charged colloidal matter which are continuously in motion and never settle down due to gravitational force. As all of us know, water also contains electrically charged colloidal matters which are continuously in motion and it never settle down due to any gravitational force. And when the water contains such fine clay particles and colloidal impurities, it becomes necessary to apply such process which can easily remove them from the water. And it has been found that such impurities can be removed by sedimentation with coagulation. Okay, so we can say that if the fine suspended clay particles are not removed by the plain sedimentation, it can be removed by sedimentation with coagulation process. And if the water contains the fine clay particles and colloidal impurities, then it can be removed by sedimentation with coagulation process, which is easy process. Okay. Next, we will be reading about the principles of sedimentation with coagulation. It has been found that when the certain chemicals are added to the water as insoluble, gelatinous flocculent precipitation is formed. This gelatinous precipitate during its formation and descent through the water absorb. The gelatinous precipitate therefore has the property of removing the fine and colloidal particles quickly and completely than by plain sedimentation. These coagulants further have the advantages of removing the color, odor and taste from the water. First, the coagulants are mixed in the water to produce the required precipitate. Then, the water is sent in the sedimentation basin where the sedimentation of fine and colloidal particles takes place through the precipitate. Okay. So, in the principles of sedimentation with coagulation, we found that some chemicals are added to the water as it is insoluble and flocculent precipitation is formed. This gelatinous precipitate during its formation and descent, the water absorbs it. Okay. And this gelatinous precipitate therefore has the property of removing the fine and colloidal and suspended impurities quickly and completely than by the plain sedimentation. Okay. And this gelatinous precipitate have the advantages of removing the taste, odor or any color from the water. First, the coagulants are mixed with the water to produce the required precipitate. Then the water has been sent to the sedimentation basin where the fine and colloidal particles has been removed. Okay. So, in your mind it may be coming what are the coagulants. Okay. So, now we will be reading about what are the types of coagulants. Okay. First is aluminum sulfate. Second one is sodium aluminate, ferric coagulants, chlorinated couplets, ferrous sulfate and lime. Okay. These are all the types of coagulants that are present in the water. Okay. So, first we will be reading about aluminum sulfate, that is Al2SO4 whole to the power 3 into 18H2O. So, it is simply called as alum. An alum which is mainly available in the market, and it is like a dirty grey solid and in the form of a lumps which contains, that is 17% of aluminum sulfate. And this is one of the chemical coagulant which is widely used in the water treatment plants. The amount of alum required for coagulation mainly depends on the turbidity and color of the water. Okay. And usually the dose of the alum varies from 5 mg per liter for relatively clear water to about 25 mg per liter for very turbid waters. And the average dose is about 19 mg per liter. Okay. So, we can say that aluminum sulfate is known as, or it is called as simply alum, and it is available in the market, and it is, the color is of dirty grey solid, and it is the form of a lumps which contains 17% of aluminum sulfate. And it is a chemical coagulant which is widely used in our water treatment plants. And the amount of alum required for the coagulation mainly depends on the turbidity and color of the water. Usually we can say that the dose of the alum that we used in the water it varies from 5 mg per liter for relatively clear water to about 25 mg per liter for very turbid water. Okay. And the average dose is about 19 mg per liter. Okay. So, we can take the dose of the alum which is used in our water treatment plant, we can take it as 19 mg per liter. Okay. So, next we'll be reading about sodium aluminate in the next slide. Thank you.